Hello and welcome to What the Flick Reviews, The Walking Dead. This is going to be a little bit of a different episode first. We're going to talk about a major happening in episode 3 of season 5. Thank you. This will be very spoiler filled, so if you're not cool with that, go watch the episode, go watch the other review that we're going to do, and then get back to us here. But we're going to focus almost entirely on a big question, and that spoilerific question is Glenn dead?
It's crazy that we have to have this conversation.
What do you mean?
I mean, yes, he should definitely be dead. Based on the rules that this world has been. Yeah, he's not dead. I get that. He's just not.
The internet is a buzz, and we must address this vital question, which is Glenn dead? By all means, by all accounts, he appears to be dead after having Nicholas shoot himself in the head, fall on him, knock him into a massive horde of zombies. Walkers, and blood and guts, what have you. But there are some clues, contextual or otherwise, that indicate maybe he's okay.
I have one.
Yes, Francis.
I have a point from an anatomy standpoint, as I tweeted out, that according to the way the camera was shot, and by the way, Nicholas cemented himself as the worst human being ever, once again.
He never redeemed himself.
No, he got somewhat back to, but anyway.
Which I love.
Yes.
I love how they built up this whole story arc for Nicholas to like be brave and get over it, and Glenn was helping him to be a better, stronger person, and it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And I think it would be super brave for Glenn to be dead in a relatively pointless fashion.
Oh no, he should be dead in a pointless fashion. But
I think that's really strong writing, and I think the writers are going to back their way out of it.
Yeah,
so
I think so. And so as I was talking about, from an anatomy standpoint, from the way the camera was shot, it seemed like Glenn was being attacked from a very high up area around his chest. And yes, I did Google just to make sure the intestines were.
The large intestines, Francis?
Are at the bottom.
Where are the sausages that you pull out of the
sausages are at the bottom half, and they seem to be pulled out. Now, watching it back several times, the way that they both fell, it well and truly could be Glenn who was getting torn apart. But from what I understand in the amount of scenarios that Glenn has pulled himself out of in the past, it seems like Nicholas has fallen on top of him, and you can't really see where his head is because he just so happened to blow it off. And it's his lower torso is on top of Glenn, and he's getting his intestines ripped out. Now, how Glenn still gets out from that, it would be very questionable for the writing, because just to say that even if they are attacking Nicholas, his arms are still there unless he's completely trapped underneath. He's not like fully protected from what we've seen, so he should still be dead. But as we've seen before, they like to pull off the most unimaginable situations, and I'm sure it would keep all the Glenn fanboys happy and walk them off the edge. But from what it seems, I don't think he's dead. I think it is Nicholas that's on top of him, and that's my theory.
Well, let's talk about how he could actually survive this. There are a few different ways. One, someone could come rescue him inexplicably. Two,
that would be extremely inexplicable. There are a lot of walkers there.
That's probably not going to happen.
And can we just say how great that scene looked? Like, there were a lot of really good-looking walkers in that. I feel as though usually they sort of like stay far away from like the really detailed makeup, but I think they brought their A game for that particular scene.
They looked petrifying. If I was Nicholas, I would have shot myself.
Another way that could survive, which would be a callback to Glenn's earlier times, if we're following the dumbass train, which he did say to Rick, and we can use it as an excuse later, but that's a different plot point. He could cover himself in guts, as he's done before, and maybe masquerade. I had read that there was a dumpster that he could clearly crawl under and hide under for a little bit at least, after he's shrouded in the stink of guts.
Yeah. The only way that I think that if there is somewhat feasible is that someone helps him. Or something is there to attract the walkers away. Because even if he does move, anything that's moving underneath, like Nicholas is going to be eaten anyway. Like, so if he starts to move or try to get under a dumpster, the only way he could do it is by, as you mentioned, somehow being so covered in all the blood and guts that he just kind of falls victim, plays dead, and lies there for enough. It still is not feasible for me. I am able to contemplate that Glenn might have moved on, but for the fans out there who struggle with the concept,
people are having a hard time accepting this.
Yes, it is.
Not quite so easy as you. And so there's a lot of dissection into what's going on. So let's talk about some out-of-context reasons why maybe he's survived. One that I've read that I haven't seen in person is that on The Talking Dead, he was not mentioned in the In Memoriam clip. and
nor was he there.
Nor was the actor there, which is customary after a major character is killed off.
So
big red flags.
But this could be, as you just mentioned, a very brave move from them to keep fans anticipating that something might twist, and then just be like, no.
Yeah, I think, honestly,
and
I
that
think
would be the right move, I think, from the
because they had Michonne talking about, like, have you ever been covered in so much blood you don't know what's yours, and Walker's and your friends. They had that little moment to kind of write themselves out. They have, you know, enough visual clues to make you think that it's possible in terms of unusual camera angles that they normally wouldn't use to obscure. Plus, they have that moment where he goes down on bended knee and looks at the watch, calls Rick a dumbass, saying, oh, look, we are wrapping Glenn up nicely in a parallel way that we can kill him off now. But at the same time, I don't think they would kill Glenn in such an unceremonious fashion.
Absolutely.
Nobody got to watch.
Nobody got to watch, and, like, there will always be that we don't know factor coming from the rest of his group, which was so played out in season 2 that I can't go through a whole nother season of them like holding out hope and thinking and looking and sending out search parties and more people getting hurt. So I don't think the writers want that to happen again, which means I think that Glenn is alive.
And Kim, you probably are most up to date on the comic book side of it, and he had a very one of the most famous comic book deaths, right? And it's to have this so, I would say, drawn back. I think it's a bold move if the writers were to kill him in this fashion, and I think it would take everyone off guard. I don't particularly want that to happen because there is something so, I would say, captivating about this show that they can really draw out every emotion. Like the Noah death scene was one of the most horrific, I think, for a show. We all know it's fictional, but when you're watching it, you can't help but become so engrossed in it, and the way that Glenn had to watch his friend be torn apart. I think that it's a disturbing factor of the show, but you want to watch to see that someone actually appreciates what Glenn has done and has seen him be taken on, and so that they can pass it on and they don't have to do this ridiculous thing of going back and searching for him and wasting episodes where they could just be moving on. So when you add all those things up, there's two sides of it. He definitely has a chance of not being dead, but at the same time, it could be a really bold and harsh move from the writers.
On the note of the comic books, I want to say I am not up to date with the comic books now, and I'm purposely doing it because I enjoy the show more this way.
Nice.
2, Glenn dies differently.
Way differently.
Way differently in the books. 3, the books and the shows have diverged significantly that you really can't count on the books to be your Bible for where the show is going to go anymore. So there's that. There's also the fact that Scott Gimple did say on the record that Stephen Yoon, Glenn will be back in some form, in some way, later this season, be it a flashback, be it in life, be it in a vision. I don't know how, but he said he's not done yet. So that's probably why we haven't seen whatever we need to be seeing on The Talking Dead. There are some other contextual clues. I think this clip is going a little bit long. So why don't we wrap it up? We will talk to you in the full review, which will hopefully be as spoiler-free as possible. Please join Tim, the Fonz, and myself there real soon.
Hey.